All right, diving into Purple Cow today by Seth Godin. You know, a marketing classic. It's all about, well, how to stand out. I think especially in our world right now, it can feel really crowded and noisy. So
Mhm.
I think you're going to find some really valuable insights in here, especially if you've ever felt like,
Mm.
it's harder than ever to kind of get your business or your ideas or even yourself noticed.
Yeah, I think that's a feeling a lot of us can relate to these days. And Godin's work, I think, is even more relevant now
Mhm.
than when it was first published. And he starts by addressing this head-on right. He's arguing that traditional advertising just isn't as effective as it used to be.
Yeah, he calls it the death of traditional advertising, actually, which, I mean, maybe that sounds a little dramatic, but if you think about it, are we really paying attention to ads the way we used to? You know, we're bombarded with so much information these days. It's like we've developed this sort of immunity to it.
Exactly, yeah. Consumers have become incredibly savvy at filtering out the noise. And Godin argues that, trying to shout your message louder just doesn't cut it anymore. You need to be remarkable to stand out. And that's where this idea of the purple cow comes in.
Okay, so instead of blending in with the herd, you need to be that eye-catching, unforgettable purple cow in a field full of brown ones. But it's not just about being outlandish for the sake of it, right?
No, absolutely. A purple cow is only effective if it's relevant to the people who see it. So you have to offer something truly exceptional and valuable to your target audience.
Right, it's like those brands we all know, like the Starbucks, the Apples, the JetBlues of the world. I mean, they didn't become successful by following the crowd. What do you think made them stand out as purple cows in their industries?
Well, Starbucks, for example, they didn't just sell coffee, they created an experience, like this third place between work and home. They tapped into this kind of cultural desire for connection and community. So they were offering something more than just a caffeine fix.
An Apple. I mean, they've always been about really pushing the boundaries of design and technology. They're creating products that are not only functional, but beautiful and aspirational.
Exactly. And JetBlue, they kind of disrupted the often dreaded airline experience by focusing on customer service. And they wanted to make flying actually enjoyable, offering amenities and perks that a lot of other airlines considered unnecessary. But that really resonated with passengers.
So it seems like becoming a purple cow then is a very deliberate strategy.
Yeah.
These companies didn't just get lucky. They made choices that set them apart from the competition.
Precisely, yeah. They identified what made them unique, and they really designed their entire business around that. They understood the importance of creating a connection with their target audience, giving them something to talk about, something worth sharing.
Okay, so that leads us to another fascinating concept in the book, the idea virus. Godin argues that truly remarkable things, they spread organically like a virus, through word of mouth and social sharing.
And the beauty of an idea virus is that it scales organically, right? You don't need a massive advertising budget to reach millions of people if your product or service is inherently remarkable and share-worthy. I mean, think about how social media algorithms work now. They prioritize content that generates engagement, and what's more engaging than something truly remarkable?
So he's saying, if you build a purple cow,
Yeah.
the people will come. They'll do the marketing for you.
Exactly. And this has huge implications for how we think about marketing in the digital age. In a world that's just saturated with information, it's not enough to just create a good product or service. You have to create something worth talking about, something that people will naturally want to share.
So playing it safe then, and trying to please everyone, could actually be the riskiest move you can make.
Yeah, I think so. Because you could end up just
What?
blending in with all the other brown cows and becoming invisible. Trying to appeal to the masses often leads to, blandness, and if you don't stand for something unique, you're going to get lost in the noise.
Right, Godin gives an example of this car company that's trying to design this vehicle. That appeals to absolutely everyone. But it ends up being so generic and so forgettable
Yeah.
that it fails to capture anyone's attention.
It's a great illustration of the dangers of trying to be everything to everyone. You dilute your message and you lose your impact.
I was thinking about this a lot lately. I almost didn't start this podcast because I was afraid of what people would think. Then I realized, if I'm going to do something, I might as well do it wholeheartedly, even if it means being a little different.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And it highlights something crucial. Sometimes taking a risk and embracing our unique perspective, that leads to the most incredible rewards.
So if we're not aiming for the masses then, who are we targeting with our purple cow? Who are the people most likely to be receptive to something new and different?
Well, Godin suggests focusing on innovators and early adopters. These are the folks who are always on the lookout for the next big thing, the ones who are willing to take risks and try something new. They're much more likely to embrace a purple cow and spread the word to others.
It's like those early adopters of smartphones.
Yeah.
Right? They were the ones who saw the potential of this new technology before it became mainstream.
Exactly. So by targeting these early adopters, you can actually create this ripple effect that eventually reaches a much wider audience. They become your evangelists, spreading the word and generating buzz for your product or service.
Makes you think, what are the things that make someone an early adopter? Do you consider yourself one?
That's an interesting question. Early adopters tend to be more open to new experiences, less risk-averse, and they often have a strong desire to kind of be on the cutting edge. But it's not just about personality. Sometimes it's about necessity. Like, think about a product like a new type of assistive technology. The early adopters might be people who just genuinely need that innovation to solve a problem in their lives.
That's a really good point. It's not always about being trendy. Sometimes it's about finding solutions that just aren't available in the mainstream. Speaking of which, Godin talks about designing for the edges. What did you make of that concept?
Well, I think it's one of the most powerful ideas in the book. Instead of trying to create a product or service for that crowded middle ground, Godin suggests focusing on niche needs. That's where you find real opportunities to be remarkable.
So rather than trying to, water down your product or service, to appeal to everyone, you're better off being something truly special to a smaller, more defined group. But isn't there a risk in limiting your potential audience that way?
Well, there's always risk involved, but think about it this way. If you try to appeal to everyone, you often end up with something bland and forgettable. But if you cater to a specific niche with unique needs and desires, you can create something truly remarkable that resonates deeply with that audience.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, a niche that's big enough to be viable, but focused enough that you can truly stand out.
Exactly. It's about finding your purple cow niche, the group of people who will be blown away by your product or service because it speaks directly to their specific needs. Like Patagonia, for example. They cater to outdoor enthusiasts who are passionate about sustainability.
Oh, that's such a good example.
Yeah.
They haven't compromised their values to try and appeal to a broader market. And as a result, they've built an incredibly loyal following. Seems like authenticity is a big part of this too, right? You can't just slap a purple coat of paint on something and call it a day.
You're absolutely right. True remarkability can't be faked. You can't fool people in the long run. If your product or service isn't genuinely good, people will see right through it.
It's like those companies that try so hard to be cool or trendy, but it always comes across as inauthentic, like they're trying too hard. Their purple cow is more like a cow wearing a purple costume.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Authenticity comes from a place of passion, a genuine belief in what you're offering. That's what makes a purple cow believable and sustainable.
This is making me think beyond marketing. It's almost like finding your purple cow potential as a person. When you say,
Yeah.
What are you passionate about? What are your unique strengths and skills?
It's a great point. What problems can you solve in a way that no one else can? That's where real remarkability lies, in being authentically you and offering something truly unique to the world.
Wow, that makes you think. It's not just about a marketing strategy, it's about a way of life. What would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners so far?
Well, I think in a world of increasing noise and competition, being remarkable is the key to success. Whether you're building a business or simply want to make your voice heard, the principles of Purple Cow can help you stand out.
And that's not about being the loudest or the flashiest. It's about being authentically you, embracing your strengths and your perspectives, and offering something truly valuable to the world.
Exactly. It's about finding that thing that makes you unique, that purple cow within you, and letting it shine.
Okay, we've covered so much ground already, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface. But for our listener, who's ready to take action? How do they actually do that? How do you find that spark of remarkability within yourself?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, there's no easy answer. It takes some soul-searching, some experimentation, and a willingness to get outside your comfort zone.
No magic formula then.
Not exactly. But Godin does offer some guidance. He talks about the importance of listening to your customers, understanding their needs, and being willing to challenge the status quo. He also emphasizes the power of storytelling, how it connects with people on an emotional level.
So it's not just about what you're selling, it's about the story you're telling.
Yes. It's about crafting a narrative that makes people feel something, whether it inspires them, motivates them, or simply makes them smile. It's about connecting with your audience authentically.
I'm seeing a pattern here. It seems like so much of this boils down to being genuine, connecting with people authentically, and offering something truly valuable.
Absolutely. It's not about tricks or gimmicks. It's about creating something meaningful and sharing it with the world. Godin even talks about the legacy you want to leave behind. You know, what do you want to be remembered for? What impact do you want to make?
Those are big questions, but I think they're important ones to consider. If you want to create something truly remarkable.
I agree. At the end of the day, it's not just about standing out. It's about making a difference.
And sometimes, the most remarkable thing you can do is simply be yourself. Embrace your quirks, your imperfections, and share your unique gifts with the world.
Yeah, it's true. It's those unique voices, those bold ideas, those purple cows that really stand out and make a difference.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation. Purple Cow really challenges you to think differently, not just about marketing and business, but about life itself.
It really is a call to action, you know, to be bolder, more creative, more authentic in everything we do.
And it's a great reminder that standing out isn't about chasing fleeting fame. It's about making a genuine contribution to the world, leaving a legacy that matters, a mark that only you could make.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the one key insight that our listeners should take away from Purple Cow?
I think the biggest takeaway is that you have the power to be remarkable. You know, it's not about luck or circumstance. It's a choice. It's about choosing to stand out, choosing to challenge the status quo, and to create something truly exceptional.
It's about finding your unique voice, your passion, your purpose, and sharing it with the world in a way that's authentic and engaging, unforgettable.
Yeah, well said.
We've explored a lot of ground today, but I think the journey starts with asking yourself some key questions. What's your Purple Cow? What makes you stand out from the crowd? What unique value can you offer to the world?
Take some time to reflect on those questions. I think you'll be surprised at what you discover.
That's it for our deep dive into Purple Cow. Thanks for joining us. We hope you'll join us next time as we continue to explore ideas that matter.
Yeah, and you know, it's not always about like creating something huge and flashy. Sometimes the most remarkable things are the simplest, the ones that come from a place of real passion and authenticity.
So for our listeners who are maybe feeling a little overwhelmed or intimidated by this whole Purple Cow idea, what would you say to them?
You know, I'd say start small. Don't try to change the world overnight. Just focus on finding one small thing that you can do differently, one small way that you can stand out.
Like what kind of things?
Well, it could be anything, really. Like maybe it's writing a blog post that really challenges the conventional wisdom in your industry. Or maybe it's creating a product that solves a problem that no one else has even addressed. Or maybe it's just being more intentional about the way you interact with people, you know, really listening to them and trying to understand their needs.
It's about bringing your unique perspective to everything you do, even if it's something small. You know, a lot of people, they get so caught up in trying to fit in that they forget to let their own light shine.
And that's a shame, because the world needs more Purple Cows. We need people who are willing to be different, to challenge the status quo, and to make a real impact.
And the beauty of it is, you don't have to be a genius or a millionaire or even a social media influencer to be a Purple Cow.
Nope. You just have to be yourself and be willing to put yourself out there.
So to our listeners, we challenge you to embrace your inner Purple Cow. Go out there and be remarkable. The world is waiting for you. That's it for our deep dive into Purple Cow. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.